Landmarks Preservation Commission is now in session. Please note the meeting is being audio recorded. My name is John Holman, Chair of the Commission, and I will be running tonight's meeting. We are your volunteer representatives appointed by our county council person or county executive and entrusted to monitor renovations and additions to our Baltimore County historic resources. We review and approve nominations to the Baltimore County preliminary landmarks list and comment on National Register nominations. Additionally, we are charged with evaluating submissions to the Baltimore County Historic Tax Credit Program that encourages the appropriate maintenance and renovation of designated historic properties. Would the commissioners please introduce themselves by name and county council district or representation? We can go on the order listed on the screen. So Lily, you're up first.
This is Lily Mundroth, Council District 1.
Chris Weston, District 2.
Wendy McIver, District 3.
Ray?
It's not here.
Oh, okay. Phoebe?
Phoebe Evans Latosha, executive appointment.
Jamie Ferguson, executive appointment.
Thank you. I think Scott's.
Ed Horde, executive appointment.
Vince Johnson, executive appointment.
Chris is not here.
Chris is not here. Good, thank you. Now please stand as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, a nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you. The Landmarks Preservation Commission operates under the authority, standards, and requirements of Title VII, Article 32 of the Baltimore County Code. We refer to the United States Secretary of the Interior's standards for rehabilitation as administered by the National Park Service. This is the accepted national standard for historic preservation projects. Our own Baltimore County Historic Preservation Design Guidelines directly reference and incorporate the Secretary of the Interior's standards for rehabilitation. We have important preservation issues to discuss and debate at each meeting. If you would like to make comments, please limit your comments to the specific application or proposal submission being reviewed. We ask for your assistance and understanding so that discussions do not digress. As an additional comment, we can all agree that historic preservation is an important aspect of the quality of life and place that makes Baltimore County unique. As a commission, we seek to recommend significant buildings and places for landmark consideration to the County Council for their final vote. As commissioners, we serve on the commission due to our expertise, interest, and passion for historic buildings and places, and review submissions based solely on their merit. While we may disagree in discussion and voting, we continue to be a collegial body that respects each other personally and professionally. Staff reminders for virtual meetings.
Just a reminder to provide public testimony for any item on the agenda. Members of the public must register to speak or submit written testimony to staff in advance. This is so that staff can announce the names at the appropriate time. Owners, applicants, and project reps do not need to sign up. Staff will announce them at the appropriate time. In addition, all commissioners receive the meeting materials 1 week prior to the meeting for review and prep for the meeting tonight. The packet includes all applications and photos that are submission and other supporting materials that were either submitted by applicant or anything from the staff may provide. The information in this presentation is just an overview. It doesn't include everything that was submitted. It's just a summary to keep the meeting moving in an organized manner.
Thank you. Thank you. Any changes to today's agenda?
No changes.
Thank you, Jessica. And then approval of the minutes of the October 13th meeting. Any changes or corrections, commissioners? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to approve?
I move we approve the minutes of the last meeting.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. And just a voice vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes, minutes are done. And then consent items, Chair. There are 2 items, I think.
Yes. Short meeting this afternoon. So first we have agenda item number 4, the Bats property at 801 Francis Ave in Relay County Council District Number 1. This is a non-contributing resource in the Relay County Historic District, and the applicants are proposing a solar panel installation on the rear roof slope. Then the second item is agenda item number 6. This is the Peters property at 322 Morris Ave in Lutherville, County Council District Number 3. This is a non-contributing resource in the Lutherville County Historic District, and the owners are looking to replace their existing asphalt shingle roof.
Commissioners, any comments or objections to them being on the consent agenda? Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion to approve the consent items.
I make a motion to approve the consent items.
Thank you, Ed. A second?
Second, Wendy.
Thank you. Thank you, Wendy. And we need to do a roll call vote, please, Jessica.
Could we have Phoebe, please?
Yes.
Vince?
Yes.
Wendy?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
Lily?
Yes.
And John, please.
Yes. Thank you, Jessica. Then we move on to the Bertowski property at Adana Road.
Yes, and the Rutowski property is at 903 Adana Road in Sudbrook Park. This is a contributing resource within the Sudbrook Park expansion number 2, Adana Road County Historic District. And the applicants are seeking part 2 approval for slate roof repairs and cleaning. This includes some minor repairs to the existing slate roof. Overall, the roof is in good condition with the exception of several damaged or missing tiles and raised nails. The following work will be completed. In-kind replacement of 25 natural slate shingles, which include 10 in the front and 15 on the rear. Wood will be removed from the slate, and as a note to the commission, the application did not mention what the wood type is referring to, and staff asked that we clarify the underlayment strips and if they will be replaced in kind. A plastic cement roof ridge and vent pipe will be installed, as well as chimney flashing, and the roof will be cleaned and cleared of any debris and growing vegetation. The debris will be swept or brushed, but there is no mention of what products will be used, if any. So staff recommendation is to vote to issue a certificate of appropriateness with the following conditions: that the replacement slate match the existing in size, shape, thickness, texture, color, and other visual qualities, that any wood underlayment must be replaced in kind to match the existing underlayment, that the roof must be cleaned by the gentlest means possible, such as low pressure washing and scrubbing using soft bristles. Do not sandblast, power wash, or use other types of high pressure washing techniques. Chemical cleaners or soap should be compatible with slate, and the manufacturer's instructions should be looked over carefully. Harsh chemicals and high-powered washing can cause the slate to break or degrade. We're citing Baltimore County Historic Design Guidelines Roofs, pages 1 through 13, County Code Section 11-2-201 and 32-7-405, National Preservation Services Preservation Brief number 29, the repair, replacement, and maintenance of historic slate roofs.
Thank you, Jessica. Is the owner or representative here with us tonight?
I do not believe we have Mr. Rikuski on tonight.
Commissioners, any thoughts or questions?
I think it looks fine.
Would you like to put that in a motion, Ed?
I move that we follow staff's recommendation.
Thank you. And a second for that?
I'll second.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Chris. And a roll call vote, please, Jessica?
Phoebe, please.
Yes.
Wendy,
Yes.
Vince,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Lily,
Yes.
and John, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
And then number 7, the Kaplan property. Are you going to guide us through that as well, Jessica?
Yes. So our
Thank
last
you.
agenda item, the Kaplan property located at 107 Central Avenue in Glendon, County Council District Number 4. This is a contributing resource within the Glendon County Historic District, and the applicant is seeking Part 2 approval for a roof replacement on the main roof and one-story rear addition. As some background, the home was constructed in 1884, and the house currently has a double lock-in tin standing seam metal roof that was installed sometime around the turn of the 20th century. The applicant notes that the metal roof was installed over the original roofing material, which was wood shingles. The applicant submitted historic photographs confirming the original material. The present 120-year-old metal roof has deteriorated beyond repair and has separated at the seams. The applicant cited rust, pitting holes, and chip paint throughout, and that have continued to worsen despite routine painting and maintenance. The LPC approved tax credits for the cleaning and painting of the standing seam metal roof at its June 13th, 2013 meeting. Now the applicant proposes to remove the existing roof layers and sheathing and to replace with certified Landmark Pro architecturals in the color weathered wood that will mimic the original wood roof color. Our design guidelines state if historic roofing cannot be repaired, it should be replaced in kind. The LPC may consider replacement material other than in kind if the original material is no longer available, the existing material has failed and is likely to fail again, the existing material is not original, or the roof is not visible from the street. Since the applicant has evidence that the metal roof is not original, the LPC may consider an alternative material if the appearance, texture, and color are similar to the original roofing material based on the photo documentation submitted. However, staff notes that the proposed architectural shingles fail to accurately replicate the visual qualities of wood shingle roofing. The proposed architectural shingle texture and the size of each shingle would create a visual pattern that competes with the overall design and architectural features of the house. The current proposal does not meet our design guidelines. The proposal does not call for the in-kind replacement of the existing metal roof, nor does it propose to return the original material, wood shingles, back to the structure. Additionally, the proposed alternative material does not accurately replicate the appearance of wood shingles. Staff recommendations that the applicant consider the following: an in-kind standing seam metal roof replacement, replacing with wood shingles, researching additional alternative materials that better replicate the appearance of a wood shingle roof, such as a synthetic or composite wood shingle, or the last case scenario would be to consider a 3-tab asphalt roof material because it is flat and has no dimension and does not create depth or competing visual pattern. So an in-kind replacement or returning the original material would be tax credit eligible. Staff recommendation is to vote to not issue a certificate of appropriateness as proposed, citing Baltimore County Historic Design Guidelines roof, pages 1 through 13, County Code Section 11-2-201 and 32-7-405. And just as another note, the commission did receive 2 testimonies in support of Ms. Kaplan's application that were circulated yesterday and today, this afternoon.
Thank you, Jessica. Yes, I hope you all saw those letters. Commissioners, comments, thoughts?
We do have the property owner.
Oh, yes, thank you for
on.
reminding me, Jessica. Thank you. Would she or he like to speak?
Yes, Ms. Kaplan, I've just unmuted you.
Hi, how are you? John, I just want to say hello to you because I knew you from Baltimore County Public Library. I was manager
Yes.
at Rosedale when we worked together, and then
Yeah,
Pikesville.
thank you. Thank you. Yes, nice to hear your voice.
One correction, the addition is not, on the rear is not part of the application for the roof. It's a hard thing. You know, the house has vinyl siding on it, and a wood, you know, there's also the issue of affordability. There's the, you know, the part of preservation is being able to maintain one's house, being able to afford to maintain one's house. And also that we love our homes and we want them to be, you know, to be preserved not only for us, but for future generations. And how do we do that? How do we make it appealing to a future owner in addition to being able to be preserved? So, you know, I've put a huge amount of thought into this, and I hope you have a chance to read both of the testimonies, because one of them was from Meredith Wells, who for 20 years was Grant's chairman of the Preservation Alliance in Baltimore County and former president of Historic Linden. You know, I did consider a metal roof. I spoke with a metal roofer. It's nearly twice the cost of a shingle roof. And the contemporary roofs have caps at the ridges. So my house has a cross gable roof. So there'd be ridges going side to side and front to back, additionally, which would have caps on them. Additionally, in the rear, there are, I couldn't get a picture of that because of the trees in the rear. There are two diagonal gables, which would each have one of the caps. And then there are two dormers, which would have a cap on top. And I could send you pictures of that to see what was shown to me by Fickner Roofing, who are professionals in metal roofing. As for wood shingle, aside from the original risk of fire, which is the reason people started replacing their roofs around the turn of the last century, you know, the house unfortunately was sided with vinyl in the 1800s. I mean, not in the 1800s, in the 1980s. A previous owner sided the house with vinyl. And were I to put a wood roof on, which is not a realistic option, it just would look preposterous with vinyl siding and the aluminum storm windows that were put on. It would be so inconsistent. The shingle roof I'm proposing is to resemble as closely as possible what would be a weathered wood, what would look after a shingle roof had grade, would resemble the original of the house. And I did create, I don't see it up there, I created a sort of composite photo so you could see, which I included with the application, so you could see the color of the shingle. I put a picture of a tree in my yard against it, and just the shingle texture of the house originally as closely as we could see it. It was a different picture from the one that's on the screen right now. It was kind of a three-quarter view, and I zoomed in on the, so yes, it is the one there that you see, the original roof, that's 1900. In this composite I created, I zoomed in on the roof so you could see the texture of the roof. I included image of the shingle that I'm proposing. I am open to another shingle, but the shingle that I'm proposing that would bring that roof back visually to what the house looked like when it was constructed, and the wood had a chance to age a bit to gray. I'm not sure if you can see in that picture, that three-quarter view. Obviously, there were other things on the roof at that time. I don't know the terminology for all of it. There are spires. There's a, you know, all along the ridge of the roof was some kind of, that you could see better right there. You can also see what no longer exists along the porch. You know, that railing, it must have been delightful at that time. The house originally, when it was built, I discovered during some renovation that we were doing, the original paint color was a beautiful green. And I could see how originally the roof would look gorgeous with that. Over the years, it's been painted a lot of times. Most recently, before the owners, the Morrises in the 80s, put siding on it, it was a pale yellow. And now it is just, it's just the most drab, pale gray. I've tried to perk it up with colors of the woodwork. Fortunately, the previous owners retained the original shutters and did not cover the framing for the windows with vinyl or aluminum, as is often done. So I'm able to play with colors that are appropriate to the era for the house. So I realize it's a big ask. It's a big expense for me, even with this option, but I truly believe the very best and most attractive, durable, and protective option for this house, maintaining it, I hope, generations into the future, would be the roof shingle that I suggested. That does have dimension to it, the way wood shingles do, and has that weathered color that the roof would achieve after a short number of years. If you look at through the photos, there's a picture of the pump house in my backyard, which is really, there are only 2 pump houses remaining in Glendon, and one is in my yard. And in the 3/4 view picture that you had initially, it's really exciting to see that you can see just a ghost of a shadow of a windmill that was there. And at one time, the pump, which in the pump house you can see still exists, and it's always been a fantasy to have a well company come out and restore that pump so it could be functional. Part of the point I'm getting to is there is a wood shingle roof on that house, which I replaced about 20 years ago. And if you can look at the condition of it now, they don't last long. They don't last long. Between the northeast side, where there's moss growing on it, and the western exposure where sun beats down on it, and that's the case for my house as well. The front of the house gets the western sun. Yeah, I really implore you to accept my proposal. You know, as I've read, the idea that I'd be able to replace vinyl siding with new vinyl because it was put on before the house was in the district, but not permitted to put a roof that I put a lot of thought and consideration into, particularly with how it would look and bring back the original character of the house. It's a little bit mystifying to me that I'd be able to put new vinyl siding on, but not a roof that's functional, durable, and attractive. And I'll add affordable. The metal roof would be close to $70,000, and this already, because I need to have the porch roof done as well. I can't remember exactly. I think in the vicinity of 35,000, and that doesn't include what they might discover underneath once they start pulling things apart. So, you know, that's my ask. I care deeply about the house, about the neighborhood, and about the tradition of Glendon, as you know, as well as the overall appearance and the way it fits into the neighborhood. I ask also that you, if you haven't had a chance, read both of the testimonies from people who have credentials and a deep interest in historic structures and preservation.
Thank you, Judy. I appreciate that explanation and the additional detail as well. Commissioners, questions, thoughts?
Yeah, I have a question in terms of the cost. Were you taking into account the tax credit program for if you did go with the metal roof?
Well,
you know, that would be 20% from the state and 20% from the county, so that would take 40% off the cost.
You know, I'd like to be able to send you a picture of what the metal roofs look like now with these caps on them. To me, they look like a restoration of a shopping center, what is thrown on. You know, the way this roof, the old roof was folded and pinched along the ridges. The way metal roofs are installed now, they have these, I'm gesturing, you can't see me, they have these caps, these half round caps that go along the ridge, every single ridge in all directions. And you know, if I could send you a picture of that roof, and I could, you know, if you want to consider this after the fact, I could send these pictures, I could send it now. it really, it doesn't look good. It's not that lovely traditional look of an old standing seam roof. It looks like what's put on new construction now if they have if they put a metal roof on. And with the the ridges that I have, the cross gable ceiling, the ridges entirely from side to side and front to back, the two diagonal gables in back with ridges, and the two dormers, it's not appealing at all, and it doesn't in any way capture
Can I
even.
interrupt for a moment?
Mhm.
You keep saying that the roofs are all like shopping center roofs. They're not. You can have a metal roof that's made like the roofs that were made back then.
Well, I tell you
This is,
that
can I finish, please? And this is a 120-year-old roof that it
Mhm.
is amazingly durable. And I think I would like to make a motion that I think it's to follow staff's recommendation not to approve the asphalt shingles. And I think it should be wood. But I think as a second option, you could do a metal roof that was compatible and a replacement of what's there now, which you can get. People do it. You can see it in around the county. So that's my proposal. I make that motion.
may I
So
respond?
well, first we have to go to whether it's going to be seconded. Judy, if you could hang on just a second.
We still have to discuss after that, and people can modify and do it, but I'd like just to start, that's my suggestion, those two.
Thank you. So we have a motion
Either
on the
wood
floor.
or metal as an option.
We have a motion on the floor to accept staff's recommendation. Is there a second?
I would just like to clarify on the staff recommendation. I don't agree with the 3-tab recommendation because I guess from what I hear on roofers today, it seems that the 3-tab is being phased out as not appropriate for current, like the weather conditions. And so the Landmark series is a better, so essentially the more higher definition texture shingle, from what I understand, is more appropriate for the longevity of the roof. And then in terms of how it also it matches or it tries to replicate the wood, is more adequate than a flat 3-tab, which I think for a color rendition, that's trying to go more with slate. So I just want to take out the 3-tab recommendation from the staff.
Mine was not quite the staff recommendation. It's a staff recommendation, but with two options. One would be the wood roof. The second would be a metal replacement roof that matched the existing roof and design, spacing, and those two options are what I'm proposing.
Where the caps are actually fabricated on site, because
Yep.
that can be done and it does not look like a shopping mall.
No, it looks
Okay,
great,
so-
and it's how they've always done it, and it can be done now.
So with greater clarity, thank you, Ed and Lily. We are we are asking for a second to not issue a certificate of appropriateness with the limitation of two of the options that the staff listed, the wood shingle and a metal seam roof. So those are the two options that we include. Do we have a second for that?
A metal seam roof to match the existing in shape,
Yeah.
spacing, profile of the ridge of the standing seams, etc.
Yes, they have that in the thing, in-kind standing seam.
Yeah.
May I respond, please?
We were still waiting for a
Oh.
second.
Okay.
I'll
Is-
second.
Thank you. Thank you. So now we have a second. Judy, before you respond, commissioners, any other comments?
Just
Okay,
a question about, when Historic Glendon was made a landmark and when these neighbors got the asphalt shingle roofs? Just trying to understand the kind of history of that.
Are you asking me?
Well,
No,
whoever might know, I don't
we're
know. I have no
asking
idea.
Caitlin or Jessica. Any?
Yeah, so Glendon was designated in, I believe, either like the early 90s or the late 80s. I'm blanking on the date right now, but it was one of the first county historic districts designated.
Okay, and so at that point, a lot of the neighbor houses already had asphalt shingles.
Yes, and we're vinyl siding and
Okay,
we're
and so
replacing
this was one of
windows.
the few that maintained it, kind of the historic roof in terms of the
Correct.
metal roof.
Yes, and there are
Um,
several other homes in the district that also have metal roofs.
that also have metal roofs. Okay, good to know. I'm just not that familiar with the neighborhood itself, so wanting to understand that context and background. I mean, in my mind, the metal roof is, the house had that roof for a much longer period of time, and 120 years is still pretty historic in terms of the metal roof, as opposed to the wood.
I
Have
agree.
you had a chance to look at the pictures of the metal roof, of the deterioration on it?
Yeah, no, I agree that it needs to be
Yeah.
replaced.
Yeah.
That's clear. It's a question of what are you going to replace it with? Are you going to replace it with an in-kind metal roof, which it sounds, considering the tax credits, it may not be that much more expensive to go with that than the asphalt shingle, which would not be eligible to the tax credits.
Well, yeah, so I would appreciate some referrals for a company that does the sort of roof that Mr. Hurd is recommending. As it is, the roof that I looked at for the roofer that I spoke with, it was over $60,000. And to have a more complex roof of the sort that you're recommending, which is not original to the house either, it's just beyond what I can afford. I mean, these houses are very expensive to maintain, and they're not museums, they're homes. And we want to keep them alive, and being able to keep them alive is being able to afford to maintain them, and maintain them really in the most sincere and earnest way, which is what I have done. I've spent in my application, I know that I've had the roof painted 4 times. It costs between $7,000 and $10,000 each time. I've done my very best to maintain a roof during the period of time that I've lived in the house. As to wood roofs, one of the reasons they were replaced, and it says this even in the Baltimore County Historic Preservation Design Guidelines, I quote, "Because of fire hazards, wood shingles are no longer in frequent use and were often replaced with metal roofs as technological advances in metal roofing allowed for wider availability in the 1800s. And I point out that adopting technological advances was valued and recognized as an important part of preservation. And as durable materials continue to advance, it's something that allows us today to protect our homes for future generations. It's the shingle look that is most compatible with the house when it was built. The metal roof is not original.
We are giving you the option of the metal roof, and the metal roof is your asphalt shingle roof, which I don't think is acceptable, is $32,230 by the quote that I say, plus whatever things you face. The metal roof, if it's $60,000, deduct 20% and 20%, you're down to $36,000.
But that's for the
it's
one.
comparable pricing. So I think.
And gives you a more durable,
I'm
long-lasting.
not arguing about pricing. I mean, we're not here to negotiate a price for you.
It's
or
also,
anything. Let me finish, please. May I finish? We're here to talk about the requirements that we're faced with enforcing for Baltimore County. And one of it is replace the roof in kind. And I think replacing it with a metal roof is a viable option. The last one lasted 120 years. No asphalt shingle will last near that. I think the metal roof is a very viable option for you. You can buy them, some of them are pre-painted, which the paint is good for 20 or 30 years. I think we should we've heard the arguments, and I think I understand them. I understand why you want to do it, but the cost is not, I think, a viable, real concern, because I think the cost is comparable once you take the tax credits, and you can take the tax credits with the metal roof.
Thank you.
You
And-
also can
and-
think about the lifespan
enough.
of the roof as well. You know, the metal roof would likely have a longer lifespan than asphalt shingles over the total cost of ownership.
So could I ask a question about the tax credits, how that works? So that tax credit is credited to my property taxes
For the county
Yes.
one,
for the
Yes,
county?
it's 20% of the total rehab cost, which will be added to your property taxes. So depending on what that is, and if you have any remainder, it rolls over the next property taxes. So and it's good for up to 10 years, or if the credit runs out. And then there's the state tax credits as well, which is also 20%, but that is added to your state income taxes.
So, you know, I'm no longer a young person and I'm not going to be in this house for that many years. I'm really not going to realize, because I understand that you know, just I'm anticipating.
I think we can
To-
talk
to-
about your particular situation. I think
Yeah,
we're not
to-
here to talk about the financials. I mean, we are trying to help you with it, and we've made some suggestions, but I think you need to maybe talk to staff after this to talk
Okay.
about this, but I think we need to take a vote on
Okay,
on the issue at hand, which is what's appropriate for a historic building in Glendon.
Before we take the vote, but I appreciate that thought, Ed, we need to ask any of the other commissioners if they have comments or thoughts that they would like to add to the dialogue about it.
I'll just say that, and it was stated already, that we have a job to enforce guidelines which are written in a manual, and that influences the way that we vote in our decision. So I think that you've made many good arguments, Ms. Kaplan, but you must understand that we have to enforce the guidelines.
And thank you, Chris.
so
Yeah.
may I add something else? I just want to quote from your materials from the website. You know, in the words of Baltimore County Historic Preservation website, and I'll quote, "This project will, quote, return the historic structure to a state of utility through repair or alteration that allows for efficient use of the structure while preserving these portions and features of the structure and its site and environment that are historically, architecturally, or culturally significant." It's much more than the roof of the house that's being preserved. It's the house as a whole. And I think that this is an alteration that this is an appropriate alteration to allow for efficient use of the structure while preserving it.
Well, thank you for that. And that is certainly something that is on our minds as we review these things. And what is our charge, as Chris mentioned, is what is the best alternative? What suits the situation best for the historic preservation? So at this point, I'm going to ask for a roll call vote. Jessica?
clarifying what if we vote yes, we're voting to not issue a certificate of appropriateness,
Exactly.
correct? Okay.
Yes. Thank you, Phoebe.
Yeah, thank you, Phoebe. Could we
I'll go
actually
first.
have Ed restate the motion just for clarity so that we're all on the same page?
My motion is to vote to not issue a certificate of appropriateness as proposed, but I would just do a caveat that we would approve wood siding, the wood shingles, or the metal roof to match.
Could you repeat that? I didn't catch everything you said.
We are voting not to issue a certificate of appropriateness with the alteration that we are only accepting in-kind standing seam metal roof or replacing with wood shingles.
You do know it would be the only house with wood shingles. There are no houses here any longer with wood shingles.
Those are our two options.
Okay.
I mean, you don't have to go with wood shingles.
Right, you have two options, but first, we don't know what your options are because we haven't had a vote yet.
Okay.
So let's do a vote with Jessica,
All
if you
right.
could guide us through that.
Yes, could we have Phoebe, please?
Yes.
Vince,
Yes.
Wendy,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Lily,
Yes.
and John, please.
Yes. And,
Okay.
and Judy, thank you for your careful thought that you put into this. And I'm also very pleased that the neighbors have spoken up for you. Frequently in our conversations, it becomes a neighborhood issue, and I'm glad to see that you have had those conversations. Please feel free to contact our staff, Caitlin or Jessica, and they may be able to guide you a little bit better as you work through it. But
I'm not understanding what the yes is.
the yes is that we approved
We
the
didn't.
staff recommendation not to approve asphalt shingles. We are suggesting to you that you must do in-kind standing seam metal or wood shingles, those two options.
And is this only for the tax credit, or is this? I don't understand where the tax credit fits in or doesn't fit in.
Well, that's something you can talk about. Anything that we approve normally qualifies for the tax credit.
So,
So
John,
you
can I interject for a moment?
Sure,
Ms.
thank you.
Devlin, your application was submitted for the tax credit.
Mhm.
So your proposal, and I had emailed you this before, maybe a week or two ago, but in your proposal seeking the tax credits, you were proposing the asphalt shingle, and so that is not an eligible material. Staff had outlined that an eligible tax credit material would be either the in-kind metal roof replacement or returning to the original wood shingles. And citing that the proposed asphalt material did not meet the same visual appearance, texture, or color of the original material.
So I may be confused. If I were not applying for a tax credit, what would be different?
So I'll have our Chief of Preservation, Caitlin Merritt, answer
Well,
that.
the project still wouldn't have met our design guidelines.
Right. Right. It's still,
Yeah, it's a question of the guidelines.
I would say talk to staff about what our decision means. You can do that offline tomorrow.
Right.
And talk to them about any questions that you have.
All right, appreciate that.
All right. Thank you, Judy. Okay, so that was our last item of business. We don't meet again until January 11th. Anything else we need to talk about, Caitlin or Jessica or commissioners?
Nope.
Hearing nothing, I will entertain a motion to adjourn with
So moved.
with a happy holiday greeting appended to it. Happy Thanksgiving, happy
I
Christmas.
mean, John, you can't make a motion because you're the chair.
I'm clear on that, but
I'll
I'm
make
just
that motion.
adding, I should say, not adding
Happy
to the
holidays.
motion. I shouldn't add to the motion. I'm just adding a personal note. There you go.
I'll
and so-
second.
And we can have a voice vote. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Thank you all for coming. We'll look forward to seeing you in January.
Yep. Happy New Year.
Enjoy your holidays.
Have a safe holiday. Thank you.
Thank you.